Portugal, there's a YouTube show full of fun facts you need to know. Carl rings the bell and the members show to the GMP Morning Show.
Olá Bom Dia ALEGRIA. Munson here with the Good Morning Portugal show, live stream and podcast. How on earth are you this morning? Tudo bem? Do let me know in the chat. It'll be great to hear from you, as we have done from Coach Turner. Bom dia a todos. Feliz carta. Great journey to San Sebastian yesterday, and the sun was shining when we arrived. Yes, that's the news here in Portugal as well, Ian, this morning. So already have a bit of a tan off to Bilbao later. Is that true? Redness or a tan? Or is that that's all that's work in progress, is it, at the moment? Anyway, welcome back to this part of the water, this side of the water in Europe. Bon dia Gumpers, welcome back to the Iberian Peninsula, yeah, Coach. And bon dia Gumpers from Mike and Karen in Miranda de Corvo this morning. Who else is in? Do say hi. Be lovely to hear from you. Haven't lifted the shutters yet. The breaking news over at the Portugal resident is that temperatures are set to soar, and I didn't take a look at the weather, which often when we get chatting gets overlooked. I say, yeah, I'll go back to that, and then I forget. So why don't I do that now? And let's have a look at how long this good weather spell is going to last. We've got Sarah joining us, looking at the currency climate as well. Not brilliant news for the US dollar, as to be said. She'll be talking to us about that. Other currencies are available, and we'll be chatting with her at about 8:20. And Stewart Noakes from Canopy also joining us. So if you're at all interested in entrepreneurial activity in Portugal, stay tuned for Stuart a little bit later on as well. Morning all from Owen. Hey Owen, how are you doing? Lovely to see you here this morning. And Hugh from Viseu. I saw in Viseu, Hugh, that you're having your town centre pedestrianised on certain occasions. Always nice, isn't it? Unless you're trying to drive through, then it isn't very nice. It's quite annoying in that instance, isn't it? But Viseu is having some pedestrianised days coming up soon. Can't remember where I saw that. Also, a little bit of weather, a little bit of news from the Portugal Weekly, Jorge Branco, and a quick update from IMA. The amount of lawsuits, and would you believe it, uncollected permits as well. There are people, thousands of people they can't find who've been given permits, who presumably have moved on, or they've been waiting so long they've gone to work somewhere else in the world. Fascinating, isn't it? My migratory patterns. Right, that weather then. And let's have a look, shall we, at what's going on today. Going to the Good Morning Portugal website, which is going to be changing. I'm working behind the scenes on that. Big changes to come, actually. Good Morning Portugal. To let you into a secret, this Friday will be the last live stream. Those of you who are already a Portugal Club members, I did a little bit of an update over at the Portugal Club about what's going to be happening after Friday, after we do our last live stream for the spring and summer. Changes afoot, and big changes they are too, which you can read about on my morning entry. Olá Bom Dia, Tudo bem? At the Portugal Club. I've been really enjoying getting up earlier these days and writing a little bit of a missive first thing in the morning to Portugal Club members. So check it out if you want to get ahead of the game. Check it out at the Portugal Club at theportugalclub.com, funnily enough. Let's have a look then at the weather page at Good Morning Portugal. And yeah, Spartan FX mentioned there as well. We'll see Sarah at 8:20. Let's have a look at this. Lisbon then. Yes, it's right what the Portugal resident was saying. Breaking news, temperatures set to soar from Wednesday. Looks like it according to this weather forecaster anyway. 13 degrees at the moment in the capital. Going to rise to 24 today. Isn't that going to be beautiful? I was in Lisbon a couple of times last week. It was very rainy, but those occasional breaks in the rain and the smell of spring and some of those lovely shaded streets, you know, the avenues of Lisbon. So nice to be reacquainted with those. The Estrella Gardens, the Banana Cafe in the Estrella Gardens. Really, really lovely to be in the capital last week. And it's going to be glorious as it reaches 24 today, 25 tomorrow. Cloud looking like it's set to return at the weekend, funnily enough. Similar picture in Porto, just a couple of sunny days, though. Temperatures rising from 8 to 17 today. Coimbra 24, 27 in Coimbra tomorrow. Isn't that wonderful? Faro cooler than Central, 21 today, 20 tomorrow, and sunny. Braga 23 and 26 and 22 on Friday, another day of sunshine in Braga. So as we scroll down the screen there, you can see sunny days for Portugal seem to have returned. All is forgotten, forgiven with that extremely rainy season that I've been vindicated by meteorological scientists. I think it has been rainier than normal. I know rain is normal, but it's certainly we've had more of it than normal. Azores, that's where Marion is, of course, at the moment. Lovely pictures from her yesterday. 16 degrees and cloudy at the moment, rising to 18. Sunny day there tomorrow, and in Madeira, 6 degrees at the moment, rising to 12, 14 and 15 over the next 3 days. So some lovely days set for Madeira as well. Looking good then for the weather here in Portugal in the next few days. Mel, thanks for your message. Good to chat with you yesterday. Bon dia. Finally on the land today. Lots of work to do. Yeah, when I took the dogs for a walk after the show yesterday, it was really weird. I was walking on grass, and it was crunchy on the top, but soggy on the bottom. It was still waterlogged, but the intense sunshine yesterday really dried the grass very quickly. So many workers were out and about in San Martinho de Porto on the way to Caldas de Rainha yesterday. The crews were out strimming and mowing. It really feels like spring is in the air now, and hopefully that's not a false alarm. Great, 23rd of April then. Let's have a look at Jorge Branco on Substack and these IMA lawsuits and the idea that there are so many, well, not the reality that there are so many uncollected permits awaiting their owners who seem to have deserted IMA. Computer's a little bit slow this morning. Let's go to Portugal Weekly then, which you can find on Substack. Oh, by the way, also on Substack, excellent writing. I suggested to Frank, Frank, I suggested to him that he start a Substack, which he's done, and it's really very good. I should put the link to it actually in the chat. His current contribution, share with the world, is about the word foodie and his disgruntlement. I'll call it that. He's a curmudgeonly old git, actually. Often and no better illustrated than in his current outing published yesterday, Death to the Foodie, How French Onion Soup Killed Romance. And I think this is adventures from dating and meeting fellow food lovers, although don't call yourself a foodie if you're going to be in Frank's company. Reader comments so far. I read this while eating leftover pad thai, and now I feel judged. Thanks to Frank. He is ruthless and mean. I despise him. Hi, yes, I'm that French onion soup girl, and I have no regrets. Je regrette rien. Frank, my order on the second date, which will never happen, would have been Caesar salad. Go write another hateful blog. You soup Nazi. Frank is my hero. Oops, I did it again. And Jimmy No Pants. I can't believe I just read this. So much judgment. I sobbed in my banana bread. So that's worth a read. Very good. Oh, thank you, Mel, for your photos of the land as well. It's lovely. I love it when landowners proudly share pictures of their plot, and you can see all that potential and hope there. Right. So yeah, going back to Frank, I need to get the link to share. Okay, copy link and pop that into the chat. You can have a giggle reading that maybe this morning whilst listening to the show. There's Frank. Oh dear, that's a long old link, isn't it? I don't think we need all of that. Just want the link. I don't need all the affiliate stuff or whatever, the tracking going on there. There you go. There's Frank Devani's Death to the Foodie and his story of French onion soup. And also then, let's stay on Substack and have a look at the news from Portugal Weekly. Thank you very much to Jorge Branco for this. That's an old one. What's going on? I think that's a Substack design error. Actually, it gives you the latest contribution from the Substackers in a different color, which makes it look like they're not there at all. I found it now. Thousands of IMA lawsuits waiting. Let me bring it onto the screen so you can see it as well. If you're not already subscribed to Jorge Branco's Portugal Weekly Substack, I do recommend it. It's a pretty good news source. And oh, blimmin' heck, I've done it again. Hold on a minute. Hold on. Bear with. I'm looking at last week's, which I think I also shared with you, such as the quality of George's writing and the informative way in which he combs the Portuguese news and shares it with us in English. This finally should be it. Thousands of IMA lawsuits, there you go, and permits waiting for collection. And a rather grisly story of trafficking as well here in Portugal. Thousands of IMA lawsuits and permits waiting for collection. The lawsuits continue to be filed against the Agency for Integration, Migration and Asylum, IMA, but you knew that. Every month, as immigrants try to speed up the legislation process, there were more than 5,700 filed in February, although that is down from a monthly average. Did you know that? 7,000, nearly 8,000 lawsuits filed against IMA. The staff there just must give up, mustn't they? It's like, whatever. You know, by the time you get to the 1,000th lawsuit, I'm presuming the effect of that is lessened. There you go. There's George's Substack also. Please subscribe to that. I'm sure George will thank you for that. What goes on with that is that the intention is to get things speeded up. As it stands as well, family reunification visas are essentially only available with the help of a lawyer, and there are problems with renewing documents since that service was removed from the website in May. That pushes some people to the IRN, the Institute of Registries and Notary, who I've had great service from because they were handling the post-Brexit stuff. But many permits can't be renewed there either. George gives a link to official government advice, but he adds the caveat, but I make no promise that it will work for you. And also there are about 8,000 residency permits, residency cards waiting. Isn't that sad? If you're waiting and you're finding out about this, that for others, 8,000 of them, in fact, they're waiting in IMA offices because their owners couldn't be found. From a Publico report, citing the agency's boss, IMA President Pedro Portugal Gaspar said the cards were accumulating despite repeated attempts to find the recipients. He also issued a reminder for people to attend their appointments, saying about 15% of people were failing to show up every day. Wow, there are people who love to be there. And there are 15%, the others, who don't even turn up, taking space from others waiting. Immigrants who were seen in the Lisbon IMA Mission Centre, whose cards were returned to sender, should get an email alerting them. That has happened to people we know. Their cards have gone back, and then you have to go and pick them up, which is a poor show if you happen to be picking up from Braga and you live in the Algarve. Anyway, they were returned to sender, and if that does happen to you, you should get an email alerting you to that fact. While those seen in Porto can go to the National Centres of Migrants Integration Support, the CNAIM. I think more of these are popping up on Avenida de França. Anyone seen a normal IMA office should return there. There you go. That's Portugal Weekly. Jorge Branco, very good. Thank you very much for that coverage. Bon dia, Carlito. Hey, were your ears burning? Love your onion soup, Foodie Peace. You're a great writer, Frank, and it's really good to see you on Substack over there. Yeah, I have put the link in the chat. Pam Smith is here as well. What are you writing about next? And in my note to you, Frank, I did mention what do you call it? The smudged glass tashka, that genre, what we would call a greasy spoon in the UK. I had a fantastic prato de dia the other day with bacalhau espiritual, and it was a spiritual experience. And I know that goes into the sort of territory you're not happy about, describing food in that way, but it was absolutely wonderful. This cafe I went into, I did think it looked a little bit unhygienic on entry, but I know that doesn't put you off either, Frank. It's the amount of people in there, isn't it, in the hubbub, and the look of the old guy behind the counter in his vest. I don't know if he actually was in a vest. He should have been in a vest, and he was working the whole room very successfully in a mum and pop kind of way. I don't think they were necessarily literally mum and pop, but there was a cook at the back creating all the lovely food and the aromas, and he was dishing it out and taking orders and taking money. Fantastic. The a coposugo. There you go. That's what they're known as. That's a great bit of vocab. Thank you for that. The coposugo is the smudged cup, the thumbprint on the glass that, that you get, and you're reassured that the food is going to taste like your grandma used to make. Fantastic. Thanks for those pics, Mel. Let me just open up WhatsApp and download those. If you want to send me something this morning, maybe, do you draw the line, Frank, at, oh, lovely picture, Sarah's Food and Friends. We've got, I've got a picture. You'll know who else is in this picture when I show it later on when Sarah joins us. Thank you, Mel, for your pickies. Oh, lovely pictures from the land. Is the video also okay to share, Mel, as well? Let me just save that just in case it is. It looks lovely there. Really nice. And you give me a bonanza of pictures there. I'll have to make a special folder for those. Thank you. And save those too, and hopefully come back to those a little bit later on. And if not, if we don't share them, feature them this morning, we can do it tomorrow. But definitely, it would appear spring is in the air over in your part of the world as well. And Coach Turner's got a Spanish beach for us as well. Should we show Spanish beaches on the Good Morning Portugal show? And where's that Michael Heron? Where's he been? I haven't seen him for a while. Right. So, yes, a few things then to share. Thank you very much for those. And yes, the coach had a rather disappointing onion soup in Paris on Monday night, but the owners were so lovely. We had a great, should I say, Frank, may I quote you on how you describe your disappointing judgment about onion soup? I love how you write. I really do. And I urge others to go check out your writing. If I can scan through your article to get to that description of onion soup, there are some brilliant lines, including, I blinked so hard I saw my ancestors. Where's your description of, am I giving too much of the game away here by talking about everything that's written here? Anyway, oh, there it is. It mentions Kraft cheese. I'm going to do it, Frank. I'm going to do it. A bowl of hot, wet onions wearing a Kraft singles toupee of sadness. There you go. That's his review of French onion soup. Bon dia from Carl Hyde. Good to see you. And I just got a flashback of the Wolfrun Hotel in Wolverhampton circa 1989. String vest and all. You know you're in good hands when the chef's wearing a string vest. Bon dia, campers. Feliz carta todos. Como está? Tudo bem from James as well. Looking forward to catching up and finally talking with you soon, James, as well. Need to speak to all the GMP co-hosts and guests actually about the changes that are coming up. So you don't seem entirely happy about the string vest wearing staff at the Wolfrun Hotel in Wolverhampton, 1989. And quite a good guide as well as how few teeth those chefs have as well. I think you're in good hands. And the communication system, the shouting from the front of the cafe to the kitchen, that was a communication system I learned about in Italian cafes in London when I was a teenager, when I would go and order my crispy bacon and sandwich first thing in the morning with a cup of frothy coffee when the Italians were bringing that to London, as they were, I think, from the 1950s and 60s, possibly earlier than that. Thank God. Thank God you made that contribution to British cuisine. Right, let's see if I can bring some of Mel's pickies on. We're waiting for Sarah to join us. I wonder if I sent her the link. I'm sure I did. She'll be joining us in just a mo. Mel's pickies, a few of those. Let me see if the uploading system will play and cooperate this morning. Yeah, a few pictures coming in then. And here we go. Lovely spring scenes. Ooh, over on our Silver Coast here towards the Peniche end of things. Let me just remove your comment there, if I may, Pam, and come back to the pictures. Beautiful. Thanks for these, Mel. Looking lovely there. Yeah, I think the wooden cabin can probably go there near the trees. Some spring flowers as well. Wonderful. Really, very grateful to you for these. This is the sort of life I imagined living. It hasn't turned out quite that way so far, but who knows? Maybe one day. Beautiful. Thank you very much for those, Mel. And I'm not sure if you said it was okay to share the video images or not. Oh, talking of videos, we've got the fantastic Renault 5 review, beautifully captured by Kyle, who will also be joining us. If you want an expert drone cameraman, Kyle's your man. He'll be joining us on the screen tomorrow as Colin Ross Jones joins us with the bombshell news that he's ready to give up on petrol and he'd be happy to take a Renault 5. Very, very well priced at, what was it, 25 grand, the entry level, 25 grand. Have we got your video here as well? That's not your video. That's I don't know where these videos have gone to this morning that I've just tried to download. Yeah, 25 grand is what the Renault 5 starts out at, and they'll buy it back. They'll give you a guaranteed buyback of 3 years. I think they're trying to create confidence in the electric car market, but it was superb. It had a dead end. I'd love to hear your review of that, Frank. I had a Renault 5 back in the 1980s. And it was really amazing to be in the new version of it that began as a concept car that they said, petrol head said it will never be built. And it has been, and it's really good. We both really enjoyed that. Colin, happy to give up petrol for the car. Here's a Spanish beach for you. That looks so peaceful, Coach. So far, your European tour has disappointing French onion soup and a lovely French beach like that. Video, okay. Thanks, Mel, for that. Let's have a little stroll up the lane, shall we? It's the walking along a Portuguese country lane genre as pioneered for us by Randy, who is now Andero, of course. Lovely. Thank you very much for that. Okay, Sarah's joining us in just a moment. Time to read just a couple more comments before she joins us. I wouldn't go so far as to call him a chef. He asked what I wanted for breakfast and thought, what does he not need to touch? And I thought, what does he not need? Oh, okay. A very tactile chef. Okay. Yes, I know the sort. Great spot yesterday. Totally in alignment with your message. That's James to Mel. Yeah, that was very popular yesterday, Mel, what you were sharing and saying. Jackie joining us as well. Bon dia, Gumpers. Smash that like button, folks. Cheers. Jackie, how are you doing this morning? And bon dia to Sarah as well, who's just joined us as well. You never see any rabbits. I do. I see their droppings as well. Always reminds me of Watership Down. When I've just got to make sure that Sarah's got the link as well to join us. You never see any rabbits. Might be a Vizier thing. Mel, do you see any rabbits on your land? To the gent who ate disappointing onion soup in Paris, Coach Turner. My dear man, why? You're sounding so British. My dear man, why? You're in Paris. Bistros galore. Maybe a simple steak, a frites. This is how the French get you. Or just order an omelette. Wow, going back to basics there. Or a ratatouille. I watched a movie the other day. Really good. Really enjoyed that. And my kids, actually my eldest, when he saw me eating noodles. Have you been to Booga Ramen, Frank, in Lisbon? Very, very good ramen restaurant. It is gimmicky, but I think the food still wins. And Booga Ramen, as I sat there and ate my my ramen, I had shrimps, and I don't want to talk about it actually because it's going to make me really hungry. But as I sat there, my son looked at my face and he said, "Are you having a ratatouille moment?" Which is a bit of a spoiler, but those of you who've seen the movie will know exactly what I'm talking about. Sarah just about to join us. We see rabbits in Setúbal. They look just like the ones in Georgia. Loads of rabbits. My dogs go nuts over them. Yeah, Jimmy Choo likes a bit of rabbit chasing in the hills as well. And I think half my planting is to feed the rabbits. Grrr, says Mr. What's he called? Mr. McGrady. Is he Mr. McGrady from Beatrix Potter and Peter Rabbit? What's the gardener called? It is Mr. McGrady, isn't it? I'm sure we will be told in just a moment. I'm getting a thumbs up. Sarah's a Beatrix Potter fan. Nice big round of applause for her. Is he Mr. McGrady, Sarah?
Mr. McGregor.
McGregor. I'm getting confused with Lee McGrady. It is Mr. McGregor, isn't it? Head gardener McGregor, head gardener McGrady. How are you this morning, Tudo bem?
Tudo bem. Bon dia, everyone.
Carl, we've already done this joke. Booga ramen. It's not spelt like that. Doesn't conjure up an appetizing image. No, it's superb, though. It really is. Glad to hear you're well. Lovely pictures. I guess the food conversation continues this morning, Sarah. Where you been?
I've been to the Algarve, but specifically to Altura, which is between Tavira and Villarreal San Antonio, which is near the Spanish border. So the East Algarve.
Nice. And how was it? Did you enjoy it?
Oh, it was lovely. The weather was nice because we've had a little bit of mixed weather recently. So it was nice to see the sun, although don't make sure you still put cream on because you can still be caught out because it was quite windy a little bit on the beach, but the sun was out, and so watch out for that. But the beaches there are lovely. I mean, Altura, it's a very small town, seaside town, really. I think a lot of the Portuguese traditionally have gone there on holiday because I've spoken to a few Portuguese before I went, and we've been going since they were a child. That's sort of their holiday destination. But you're a stone throw from bigger towns, which, as I said, is Villarreal, San Antonio, or Tavira to the left. So there's plenty to do. But what's quite nice, I think it's probably a little bit more of a hidden gem, is that it's very quiet. And I mean, things obviously will change as the summer comes, but the beaches were very quiet. So it was nice.
And this is the beach that you're speaking about. That is pretty quiet, isn't it?
Yes.
I do love these places where you find out that the Portuguese pretty much have them to themselves, right? It's their family secret, and like you said, been going there since they were kids. San Martino's like that to some extent, although obviously getting more widely known now. And that's the sun is setting there, is it, or is that dawn?
No, sun is setting. So I went on Sunday. The weather was lovely, so we went for a walk along the beach. I was visiting a friend, and it was very mild. So we walked along and found this restaurant, which was really nice. The food was really good, so I'd highly recommend. And then, although it did get too dark to walk back on the beach, so we did get an Uber. So Ubers are used quite regularly around there as well. So it was good.
Okay, let's see if Frank's still watching. He's been having a go at the idea of being a foodie. That looks like a good plate there. What was the name of the restaurant again? I can't read that on the.
I can't remember now.
Oh, okay, all right. Well, the food stayed with you clearly. Those shrimps look pretty cool. Garlicky shrimps. I'm thinking. Was there anything?
Yes, they had like I want to say a peri peri sauce on. They were very, very nice. It had a bit of a twist, I think, this restaurant to, Portuguese food. I mean, you can still get some traditional Portuguese food, but I think some of it was a bit of a twist. So it had some sort of different flavors, whether it be a little bit Asian or something. So this had a peri peri, the tuna tartar, that had something else as well.
That really impressed you,
the link in the chat, but have a look at the menu. That's it there. But so it was nice, a little bit different. It's a little bit more expensive. So it's probably not your everyday place, but it's nice as a treat. And as I said, the location's lovely. The view is really nice. So whether you go for lunch or you go for dinner and you watch the sunset, it's nice.
Very good. We're talking of everyday places, and as somebody who's moved to Portugal, of course, and you have your own neighbourhood, have you found your local daily Tasca Prato do Dia sort of place, or are you out and travelling around the country too much to have made that sort of acquaintance?
Bit of both. I mean, there's still some small Tascas around that I still need to investigate. That's what's quite interesting, I think, here in other countries that's slightly different from the UK is that, the restaurants, it's very much sort of the outside to draw people in. Here, it's like a small sign in a door. But
if you're lucky, right?
Well,
because
if
everyone
you're lucky,
knows it's there. Yeah.
And that you don't really know it's perhaps there. Yes. But inside, the food is wonderful.
Yes.
And they're the sort of the hidden gems, really, that we need to sort of find a little bit more. I found one. And it's sort of the decor inside's like you're in somebody's living room.
Excellent.
So it feels quite cozy and the food's really good. So, yes, I have found somewhere near San Pedro de Estoril, which is between Cascais and Lisbon. But there is still a lot of small tascas around to try.
Very good, very good. May I show the social picture as well?
Yes, absolutely.
Fantastic. Look who you met. Who you bumped into down there.
Yes, Veronica. So I popped along to Villarreal Sunday, and that's a lovely town, very pretty. There's a bit more of a story to it. I think after the earthquake, I think that they built their first, the earthquake in Lisbon, they built their first, I don't know if it's a trial or sort of, but
Really?
then they sort of built up Lisbon, but the decor, like the architecture of the buildings is a little bit similar and it's beautiful.
That's interesting. Okay, so it's like a little bit of a test, sort of prototyping place.
Yeah, I think so.
Very interesting.
Okay. And I don't know whether someone was saying to show, like, because it's so close, you look across the water and there's Spain. So I don't know whether it was to show Spain that, we're back or whatever.
Yeah, take that, Spain. We're back. Very good. And is that a massive gin and tonic?
It is yes, it is a gin and tonic. We had gin and tonics.
Excellent. All right. Great to see you on the screen, Veronica. And lovely to have you here, Sarah, this morning. And of course, an interesting time to be talking about currency. I've got a little bit of your report that's up in the chat now. So what are the headlines when it comes to currency at the moment?
Well, the headlines are quite similar at the moment, have been for the last month, really. It's obviously the trade wars, the tariffs. That's the main focus because, obviously Trump comes out, says he's announcing certain tariffs and then pauses them. And there's obviously ongoing conversations and then how other countries react. So that's sort of the push and pull really of the rates. The difficulty is the markets, it's really hard to forecast because you just don't know what's really coming next. A lot of the time what we base forecasts on are obviously historic trends, data that's coming out. There is sentiment, but we can kind of gauge maybe a little bit about what we expect to be happening, especially if they talk around sort of, the interest rates and things like that and inflation data. But obviously when it comes like sentiment that comes out, so obviously Trump announcing certain announcements, at the moment, nobody really knows what's going to happen. And traditionally, the US dollar was seen as a safe haven currency. So when there is turmoil in the market, people will buy US dollars, and it's starting to lose that credibility as a safe haven. So again, that's not going to help to strengthen the US dollar, but actually weaken it because more people are going to be selling off the US dollar rather than using it as safe haven, maybe going to gold. There's been a small respite because we're looking at sort of obviously still looking at the economy in Europe, and the ECB might cut rates in June. But also we've heard that Trump is really putting a lot of pressure on the Fed because he wants to cut interest rates. Because while increasing interest rates, as we've seen them do aggressively over the last couple of years, it did strengthen the currency in that country. And if you cut interest rates traditionally, then it will weaken. But the benefit to countries of cutting interest rates is it does help stimulate the economy. So that's why Trump is keen to do that as well. Okay. So we're sort of looking at, there's a lot of factors happening, but I think the reality is that you've got to realize what that means to you. Over the last month, if you're buying about 500,000 euros, if you're thinking about buying property, for example, but I mean, even on smaller amounts, your 4 to 5% movement makes such a big difference. We're talking about a difference of maybe about nearly 50,000 US dollars, which is a lot of money. This is, what could that buy you? That could go towards a car, could go towards, maybe the size of impact of your house. So it's something to really think about. And, I've spoken to some clients here recently that are looking to move to Portugal at the end of the year. And unfortunately, they wish they'd bought their euros over a month ago, and they had money available as well. But they didn't realize they hadn't met me yet. So they didn't realize that they could. And again, it's an element that gets overlooked because they're so focused on, we're trying to get our visa, we're looking for a rental, we're trying to sell our properties in the US. Those are the main focuses, when the reality is they had some money available and they could have bought their euros before now.
Yep, very good. So an early conversation with you is advised. The details are in the chat for you. Get in touch with Sarah at spartanfx.co.uk, sdavy@spartanfx.co.uk. Currently, then I will do this as best I can. Like, so I sound like a red braces finance guy. If I look at the chart right now, your British pound will buy you €1 and just under 17 cents. Your US dollar is buying you just under 88 cents at the moment. So there you go. And that's actually what I'll do is I'll also put the link to the Spartan FX charts into the chat so that you can see those as well. And such talk prompting James. I never thought I would be talking about such things and such turbulence. Really? Well, maybe did I? Didn't I not? Is it like being shocked but not entirely surprised? Maybe. Excuse me.
Yes, I think that's probably where we're at right now.
Yes, shocked but not entirely surprised. And the idea of that we spoke about, in these last few years, the idea of the American refugee seemed weird but possible. It's happening now, and even things like this. James saying I vote for California, with one of the top 3 or 4 economies of the world to become its own nation. These sorts of things could happen, couldn't they, in these turbulent times? The talk of states becoming unfederated.
Well, I think unless you've been to America, I mean, I did a year abroad in North Carolina, you really understand how, not just how big the states are, but how they operate and, the focus on their state, that they could be a country on their own, to be fair. I was speaking actually to Veronica about it, because obviously she used to live in California, and understanding that there's a lot of... which is another thing about having, obviously for us dealing with Americans, you have to have license in each state, because it's right? State level. They've got their own, as much as there's an overarching, government and legal laws, they still have state laws that they can operate. I think that what she was explaining is that they can't go better than, so say, for example, she used an example of like, say the speed limit on the highway is like 70 miles per hour. They can't in California say, well, we're going to go 80, but you could say 65. Do you see what I mean? So you can go sort of stricter, but you can't be more lenient. But you still have some scope for your own kind of legal system and laws within that state. As I said, I don't know too much more about that myself, but it was fascinating to understand that, we see obviously a lot in the media, and it's hard to we're removed, but in those different states, what's it actually like? And, are they, sheltered slightly from some things because they have their own laws and state laws that help that. And I think maybe, as James said, that California is probably one of the better places for that. And Veronica thinks that perhaps some people, although there'll be a movement outside of the US, inside the US, that people might move to certain states that have more protections for certain things potentially.
That's been happening already, I think, isn't it? And the thing the state lines that you talk about, and how states can operate their different laws, it was exemplified in movies when I was a kid, of people driving to the border to escape the police because the jurisdiction changes on the borderline. The sort of thing you probably don't see, or maybe you did in Ireland at times, but certainly not something we're used to coming from England, and just seeing it glamorized in the movies. California have their own checkpoints. When do you enter the state? You've got to tell the border state police where you're going and what's your purpose of entering California. I remember that. I was so glad to be back in California after I got stopped by the police in Mexico. It's all relative, isn't it? So anything else, Sarah, to share with us about currency and this volatile situation that's going on at the moment?
Well, I think the one thing to bear in mind is that some people there's a couple of things. One, which I've touched on, that even if you haven't got a bank account here, you can still buy your euros in advance. We have a contract where you can fix lock a rate for a future payment. We only need a 10% deposit, so that's quite good, as I said, if you've got a deadline coming up. The other thing as well is some people might think, the rates are not good for me right now, or worse than they have been. I'm just going to wait and see. Yes, absolutely, we can do that. We can help you monitor the rate. But also the other thing to bear in mind is that it could get worse. What are your time frames? And, you know, if you look back, what we look at historic trends is that we call it sort of support and resistance levels. And the fact that if it breaks that, then there's potential for it to move further in that direction. As I said, if that's against you, then it's obviously not ideal. And then what happens is sort of a new sort of levels shift. And then this is what we're working in, if that makes sense. So again, it's sort of understanding your timeframes, and the levels that we're at now might be the new norm going forward.
Yep, very good. Okay, get in touch then if you want to have a chat, and it's no obligation chat, and you can open a free account with Spartan FX. Do so or visit spartanfx.co.uk, or get in touch with Sarah direct, sdavy@spartanfx.co.uk. Have a great day. The weather's looking great here in Portugal, Sarah. Got some nice plans?
It is much better. I'm going whitewater rafting this weekend because it's a bank holiday here in Portugal on Friday.
Is it? I didn't know that. I wasn't assuming we'd have another one so quickly, but very good.
Well, we've got a few. So we had Friday, which was Good Friday. We've got this Friday, and then we've got next Thursday, the 1st of May.
It's the Restauradores, isn't it, on Friday? Yes, I think that's.
So the other thing as well is
that sounds like fun.
I mean, it's great. I mean, I thoroughly enjoy that. I have switched to Portuguese bank holiday, so some years I'll gain.
Well of you.
I think some years I'll gain, and some years I'll lose holidays.
Oh, I see. That's interesting. Yeah, if you work for a company and you're sort of bilocated in England or Portugal, you're like, which bank holiday should I go for?
About the Portuguese bank holidays is that if they fall on a weekend, that's it. So if the date falls on a weekend or Saturday, Sunday, well, you don't get it. Yeah. You know, whereas, like, for example, Christmas, if it falls on, you know, a weekend, we get the Monday, Tuesday or something like that, I think.
Okay, all right. So that's to bear in mind should you be making the transition. I mean, if that's part of it.
The best thing really would be to try and get both.
Yes, I think that's the starting point in the negotiations. I want both.
Yes.
And I also want to be paid 14 months of the year. That's worth trying with your British employer as well, because Portuguese people get 14 paychecks. So maybe that's another thing to try, Sarah. Okay.
Oh, that's a good tip. Thank you.
My pleasure. 20%. I will see you soon. Have a great weekend. Enjoy that whitewater rafting. Cheers. Thank you, Sarah. Bye for now. And a nice little testimony there from James. I love my Spartan FX family. And no golf, Sarah. She's not going to answer that. I wonder if Stuart plays golf. He's with us now. Let's see if this turbulence from the other side of the Atlantic is causing difficulties in the area he works in. Entrepreneurialism over here in Europe. Lisbon specifically. Hi, Stu. How are you? What are you doing in my front room?
Good morning, Carl. Nice to see you.
Hey, how are you? How are you?
I'm good. Greetings from sunny Exeter today.
You're in Zagreb. Okay, excellent stuff.
No,
good.
Exeter.
How is it?
Exeter. It's doing all right.
Okay.
It's doing all right.
Good. Wonderful.
I'm bringing my American tribute, though.
You are, aren't you? Yeah, and I want to talk about the impact of the United States and its volatility at the moment on entrepreneurialism in Europe. Or you work both sides of the Atlantic. You've got connections, haven't you? So yeah, how's it looking? Is it creating much sort of excitement or consternation, or what's happening? What's the Trump effect among entrepreneurs?
Yeah, it's doing lots of stuff, but there's always opportunities when things are on the way up or on the way down. What entrepreneurs don't like is when things are stable, right? So
yes.
There's definitely arbitrage to be done. Some of the weird stuff that's coming up though. So a few weeks ago I was in Boston and spent a bit of time there looking around and revisiting with contacts and stuff. And what was really noticeable from the education side was they were really worried about foreign students not wanting to come to the US anymore.
Is that right?
Yeah, and there's a growing trend. I think it's about a 20% decline at the moment in foreign student applications into the US. Love the education, love the brand, but don't want to come to the country at the moment. So quite interesting. And the week I was in Boston, actually, a student was taken off the streets by the immigration people in the US, and it was all very well publicized because it was quite dramatic. Literally six big white guys surrounded the hijabbed lady in the middle of the street in Boston, and She was walking along with friends and took her off in an SUV and took her and then deported her.
Right.
And she was a student on a valid visa and everything, and it was all quite a story, but it was just indicative of what they're struggling with. And tourism is also down by about 15-20% at the moment in the US, all because of the Trump effect. So it's the worry about going in and out. And even I was worried going in, like, because you got quite a few stories of British people being detained at the moment and stuck in limbo land because there aren't that many judges to do stuff. All sort of anecdotal stuff, but that cross-border piece. When we were talking to the service providers and the people that do the immigration law and stuff, they were all quite nervous about what legislation was changing, and they literally said to us in the session, "We can guide you today based on what we know today, but we really don't know what we're going to be able to tell you next week."
Is that right?
And that's quite tricky from a business perspective, trying to work out how to land and expand into the US. So I was with 14 CEOs, helping them understand how they were going to land into the US and what they could do there. And they were like, "Well, this is interesting as a trading environment." But equally, the big message was, if you're not local in the US, it's very hard for you to do business here at the moment. So setting up an entity and actually becoming more local helped you to win US work. And actually, it's a blocker for you to be trying to do it from abroad.
Wow. Okay. And it's so the uncertainty is a terrible thing, isn't it? And I'm not sure if that's been anticipated very well. The likes of yourself, assuming you're not a gangster, but still having second thoughts and concerns on approaching the border, because if you fall foul on some subjective call, that's your visit rather overshadowed, isn't it?
Yeah, and you've got the anecdotal stuff, and obviously these are edge cases reported, but there was a lady who was going from the US to Canada. She was Welsh, I believe, and she'd been doing a sort of child nanny type role in the US while she'd been backpacking around for 4 months, and she left the US, but Canada wouldn't let her in, and she got stuck in a detention piece in between. She couldn't get back into the US and she couldn't get into Canada, and she's been there 6 months maybe now.
Really?
So, little things like that. You sort of sitting around in your consciousness.
And it makes IMA and having to wait a little bit longer for your residence permit not such a bad thing after all. It's relative internationally, isn't it? Wow. Okay, so that's America. I think London Tech Week is coming up, and you're connecting with that, aren't you? From the work you're doing with Canopy in Lisbon, there's a connection between London and Lisbon coming up.
Absolutely, yes. So we do another project with City University in London. We do these demo nights every month in London, and London Tech Week is big for us. It's like the crescendo of the year for what we do there, and we try very hard to make sure we've got Portuguese crossovers coming into London for these things. So we've just done the biggest demo night that we've hosted in London. We did that in April, so we had just over 120 people come along for that one. Brilliant. And that's a great start coming into May, which we're trying to get close to the 200, so that when we land at the London Tech Week one, it's a 200 plus, and we're looking forward to that. So
what happens at London Tech Week? Is that like London's Web Summit, basically?
Yeah, it's kind of the equivalent, and there's something going on the week before that, which is South by Southwest are doing their own London week. So they're doing a crossover from the US, and that's the first time it's ever happened. So we can see how that works, and that's the week before the London Web Summit week. So it's going to be a very interesting fortnight with everything tech. And what South by Southwest is a big mix of culture as well. So it's got a lot of arty stuff all happening at the same time as the tech stuff, a big fusion, and lots of events and lots of kind of vibe, if you like. Whereas London Tech Week is very much, the clue's in the title, right? It's all about tech.
Yes. Yeah. South by Southwest, essentially a music festival, or broader than that? Because that's how I remember. I remember it being sort of music industry thing years ago.
Yeah, it's a big fusion, and it's very resonant with Canopy in the sense of you've got all this creativity and the tech and entrepreneurship stuff happening all together. So the idea that there's a vibrancy brought from both sides of that equation together, and it's a good, rich experience. Look forward to seeing how it works out.
So whilst it might be a little doubtful and a bit of a lack of confidence on the American side of the Atlantic, the connection between Lisbon and London sounds very fruitful, and it's growing well. You're stoking those and fanning those flames.
Absolutely, yeah. And there's a long trading history between the UK and Portugal, but there's a lot of good just vibe about doing this between Lisbon and London. It's a really good win for people to use Lisbon as a bridge into Europe. People speak English. They can move over from London to Lisbon without too much of a cultural challenge, if you like, and so it's not seen as such a big barrier.
Yeah. Are you in a hotel at the moment? Are you at networking breakfast? I'm hearing the sort of pleasing clank of cutlery and possibly coffee being
Absolutely.
brewed.
I do apologise. I managed to sit in
No,
probably
not
the
at all.
noisiest bit.
It's a nice bit of atmosphere in the
It's my
background.
tribute to Terry Hamill. There's actually a BNI meeting going on behind me here today.
Is there?
Yeah,
Oh,
absolutely.
good for you. BNI. Wow, fantastic. Lots of love and regards to those members over there. Very good. Never expect to see comments like this. Use a burner phone when crossing a border into the US or flying in. And American citizens are being detained. If you go, have the number for an immigration lawyer in your pocket. Again, things we didn't imagine we'd be seeing and hearing right here. You've got the Lisbon demo night coming up. I was recommending it to my friend and colleague Jerry Lawler at Expats Portugal. I think he should get down there. He wasn't aware of it. I don't know
How
if
is that humanly possible? I have no
exactly.
idea.
I mean, I'm sure that comes as a big shock to you. But he does live in central Portugal. He's a bit out in the sticks. But why would it be a good night for him to come? I think it's next week, isn't it? Next Wednesday.
Yeah, it's on the 30th, just before the bank holiday. So it's a great opportunity just to meet some great people. This is our first one. Actually, we're co-hosting with Liz Polis. So we're going out there to their setup, and we're doing it in one of the auditoriums there. So looking forward to that. And it's a great opportunity to look around there and meet all the companies. If you've never been there, it's a bit more of a instead of a startup incubator, you might think of it as a business incubator. So a lot more established businesses, as well as things like BGI and stuff.
Okay, so Liz Polis is a good place if you are an existing business and want a base in Lisbon. You might think about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and come and speak to Pedro on the evening. He's co-hosting with us, and yeah, looking forward to it. Two of the people taking the stage for demo night will be from Liz Polis companies. There'll be another Canopy startup, and there'll be what do you call it, a fireside chat with somebody that we're going to be talking about well-being as an entrepreneur and how you look after yourself.
That's very important and very good. Excellent stuff there. Okay, and before you go, I know you need to get. Have the scrambled eggs been served yet? Are they going a bit dry?
I don't know. I'm just over here in my corner. You know what I mean?
I don't to keep you from your BNI breakfast, Stu, before everybody nicks all the sausages or whatever. Any notable, exciting, interesting businesses, entrepreneurs who we should know about working here in Portugal?
Well, there's thousands, Carl, you know, but what I'll be able to tell you after next week is we always have what we call the People's Choice vote as part of demo night, and I'll let you know who becomes the popular one from the evening. So it's very subjective. It's not just about it being a good startup, but being about a good presentation and the audience really engage with them, and they vote in the moment on the evening, and this People's Choice is awarded from each demo night going forward. And the exciting thing for them is they then get invited back for the Web Summit edition. They get extra kind of interview and promotion by us, and we give them extra help and connection to universities and stuff as well.
Very good. If Jerry or anyone wants to come on Wednesday, what do they need to do?
Go to the Canopy site /demo night, have a look there. Then there's a calendar for all the events, and just book themselves a ticket using the Luma thing there, or just turn up if you want. You know, we try to make sure there's enough room, pizza and beer for everybody that's on the tickets. But so if you turn up, you take the chance that some of those things may not be true. But if you get a ticket, then hopefully we've got you counted in the mix.
Great. Love to Exeter, to Devon, and your BNI colleagues there. Have a great morning, and thanks, Stu, for being with us. Cheers.
Thanks, Carl. See you later.
Bye for that. There he goes. Doing great work here in Lisbon as Canopy, supporting entrepreneurs. If you've got a startup idea and you want a bit of support, if it's feeling a little bit overwhelming, Stuart and team, Pedro, who he mentioned, great people who can help you, especially in Lisbon, but I suspect all over Portugal as well. Yes, Pete, definitely. Can you wish Gary Austin a great birthday? The great Garvo, have a great birthday from all of us. Parabéns a você nesta data querida. To you, Gary, have a wonderful day. Let's see if you've got how about if you've got his number, why not send him a message to the great Garvo? I'm sure all the man cavers will be sending him inappropriate greetings as we speak this morning. Just finally then, Mel, honestly, just carrying on with the kind of business vibe, the economic vibe this morning. Turns out the IMF have revised Portuguese GDP growth downwards. I'll just do a couple of minutes on this before we say farewell this morning, and we'll be back tomorrow morning with a Good Motoring Portugal edition, looking at the new electric Renault 5. The IMF has revised downwards its forecast for Portugal's gross domestic product, the GDP, to 2% compared to what it estimated in October, and below the government's own forecasts here in Portugal. I was on that cable car last Friday, and I hadn't been on it before. It's great. It's really good. And just like the cable car at the zoo, it's a whole lot more scarier when you're up in it rather than looking up at it from the ground. But I thoroughly recommend that. I believe it's $9.50 for the round trip, $7.50 to go from one side of the Parque de Nações to the other. Thoroughly recommended. According to the IMF's, back to the Portugal news then, and the IMF revising Portugal's GDP forecast. According to the IMF, the World Economic Outlook published today, when was that? That was, in the last 15 hours. Projections for 2025 point to growth of 2%, below the 2.3 estimated in October. And the proposed union budget for 2025, the executive estimates a growth in the gross domestic product of 2.1 in 2025. For 2026, the IMF predicts a growth of 1.7% in national GDP. The IMF also presents projections for inflation, with consumer prices falling to 1.9% in 2025 and accelerating to 2.1% in 2026. I hope you're keeping up with this. Unemployment remains at similar levels, according to the IMF, indicating a rate of 6.4% this year and 6.3% next year. Even so, the national economy continues to grow above the forecast for the Eurozone this year. Well done, Portugal, at 0.8%, with the IMF estimating that Germany will remain stagnant at 0%. In the WEO, the IMF reported a negative shock. A negative shock? Does that mean not a shock then? Due to the trade war generated by the US president's tariffs, and pointed to the uncertainty at this time in the global economic scenario, which I think we've touched on from a number of angles this morning. So thank you, Portugal News, for that. Wishing you a great day wherever you happen to be in Portugal this morning. Yes, and we will be back tomorrow. Aviva's just popped in with an hola, simple hola, and Catherine Perry was Queen of Old English. Big Daddy Longlegs, creepy crawlies just parascended onto my arm in here. Oh, that's true. Brits no longer allowed to bring chorizo to England. Big fines. We covered that yesterday, didn't we? Agora, or chorizo inglesa. Yes, I think that could be quite a awkward transition from, if you're used to Portuguese sausage and you have to make the transition to an English sausage, as it were. Who doesn't like an English sausage first thing in the morning? That's going to be an uncomfortable transition. My lad loves back to the bacon here in Caldas de Rainha for an Irish or English sausage. No offense, but Portuguese sausages are a little bit different. I mean, I suppose we're talking about the difference as well here between chorizo and sausages, as you would understand and expect them in the UK. The closest you've got to a British banger, I think, is the sort of Brazilian style sausage. Can be very salty and a lot of food colouring in there. Probably better to stick to the dried chorizo here. Get your penknife out. Carry a chorizo around in your backpack. Your gentleman's handkerchief, bit of cheese, bit of ham, sliced up with your folding pocket knife. Very good on a country day whilst out walking, as we saw, as Mel portrayed for us earlier on. No need to apologise, Aviva. Good to see you. If you want to watch the show, you can do that again on replay. Have a happy birthday, Gary. Parabéns a você. And thank you for being here this morning. Thank you to Sarah. Thank you to Stuart. And thank you to you for being here. Catch up with the big changes over at theportugalclub.com. And we'll see you tomorrow. Take care. Bye for now. You've been very, very good.
In Portugal, there's a YouTube show full of fun facts.